Let's see if we can do a fix that will do the trick. Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another MrBetaByte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we are looking at the C9 again. You remember this had the spillage and we had to change the SS11 board because it was all the print was coming off. It was a real mess. Did the power supply, all effect. Managed to get it going only to find the trick modes weren't working at all, so I actually ended up changing the panel for the trick modes, and yeah, we now have trick modes, but they're all over the place and still doesn't, and other things go wrong and it just goes a bit berserk. So, what I'm going to do in this video is hopefully sort it out or find out if there is a fault. I think it just needs realignment, but there are one or two things in the back of my mind that make me wonder if there is actually a slight fault with the trick mode panel, the JR1 board. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do is check the power supply rails. That's all done on CN610. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so not the best angle, but you'll be able to see the meter and a slightly out of focus, me checking the connector. So connector's right at the back of the board, as I say, here. Pin 1 is the brown wire. So pin 1 needs to be 5 volts. Tiny bit low, so I wonder if 12 volts might be a little bit low. Give or take 0.35 of a volt. So it's in tolerance. I'm happy with that. Pin 3, which is orange, is 9 volts. Give or take 0.2 of a volt, so that's in tolerance, that's fine. Switch to 12 volts on pin 7, so that'll be that one, which is violet. Should be 12.6, give or take 0.2 of a volt. So that's lovely. And then the unswitched 12 volts is on pin 8, which is grey. 12.52. It should be 0.6, and that's plus or minus 0.9 of a volt. So again, that's well within tolerance. So those are all good. Always worth, before you start messing about with alignment, just check the power rails that they are sort of within tolerance, because you can get undesired effects. So yeah. So next thing is to try and do some adjustments. Being as a fast forward and rewind actually seemed pretty okay, I am going to skip that. I wanted to do it, but it says to go on to pin 7 of IC205, and IC205 doesn't exist. There is also frequency method, so you measure it on test point 002, which is the anode of diode 202, and you should get 380 hertz, give or take 50 hertz, but I can't find that either. So being as it is okay, I'm going to leave it. So forward back tension alignment, I'm happy with that. We checked it with the gauge anyway, so that's fine. Then drum and capstan servo system alignment, drum free speed. I'm not going to worry about that because that's looking good. Picture search, DC bias. So DC bias I need to do, and I need to find pin 20 of IC301. So yeah, I'll find that, and adjustment method, playback. So duty 50%. Okay, I'll get hooked up with all of that and see what we can find. So 309 is that one, that's for playback, and 307 is that one, and that is double speed. I'm having to do this twice because the first time I recorded it, it didn't record. So I'm going to start a capture, and I suppose it means it's going to be more refined. We can hope. So what we're going to do is just check the capstan DC bias and just see how uniform the capstan run is. So let's press play. And what we're looking for is basically 50-50. So these should be fairly equal. And adjusting RV309 for playback will change that duty cycle. So and it does tend to cut out when you try and make the adjustment. So I've turned that down a bit. You can see the duty cycle is now wrong. Now this fluctuation, that's normal, that's the servo. So let's just turn that up a bit more. Let's see if we can get to a normal duty cycle. Yeah, see, that's still a bit too much, but you see from the capture we've got good speed adjustment now. So I would say that's pretty perfect. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, no, I'm fairly happy with that. Considering it's an old deck as well. That's fine. So that's RV309. Now RV307, which is right by it, so RV309 and RV307. So RV307 is for the ×2. So let's press ×2, and of course I've just done this. So I'm expecting we've just lost. Yeah, so there we go. It's ×2, and that's pretty perfect as well. So yeah. With that in mind, I am confident now that the capstan is okay. It's running as it should, and speed is good. The free speed is good. So if I now press pause, that was actually different to what I did the first time. Yeah, so it's gone bonkers, and you can see we've lost sync because the trick mode panel is taking over. So yeah, we've got issues on the JR1 board. Yeah, you can see it's gone absolutely bonkers. So I don't know whether we've got an issue with the JR1 panel, or whether it's just an alignment. We'll sort it out. But yeah, let's just try still again. Yeah, so we got still. It's just weird that it would just go bonkers. So I mean, I do think, I mean, you can see we've got no capstan feedback now because it's all being handled by the JR1 board. Let's see what happens when we go back. It's usually, yeah, see, it just goes bonkers, and that's it. Oh gosh, that didn't sound good. It did manage to keep up with the tape. I thought we were going to have a damaged tape then. Yeah, so it's... let's press pause there. Of course that doesn't work, does it? Yeah. So I think it's all on the JR1 panel. I think there, from memory, is one adjustment on the SS11 that influences those trick modes. But yeah, I'm happy to just put this board back in and concentrate on the JR1. So yeah, let's crack on. Onto the JR1 board, which is what basically controls all the trick modes, and I just thought I'd have a quick look at the repair guide. Now, this doesn't directly relate to or have anything relating to the issue we're having, but it is useful as a sort of a check through to what you are actually expecting on the board. So in this one, we know the capstan settings are all right on the SS11 board, so I can actually just ignore all of this. But it's the head switching RF switch pulse. I just wonder if I am getting that. So that's on test point 5, and that is that one there. And if I just set you down, I haven't powered it on actually, which would help. And we should be getting well, it's 10 volts on there. It should be 5 volts, but that's fine. So set right. Which way am I supposed to be going? That way. That's where I'm supposed to be going. So yes, we do have a head switching pulse. I think though we need to be in still. And we do. The pulse is still there, so we know IC301 is fine. So, yeah, that's actually nice and tidy as well. It is slightly... It should be squarer than that, which is a bit interesting. If I adjust the tracking, it's actually carrying on until something to do with that, isn't it? When the tracking is center, it does actually stop. So it's pausing. If I adjust the tracking, it keeps on going. I can quite see it on the counter there, until I put it back to normal, like middle, and it stops. So it is a tracking issue. Now that is covered. Noise position and stall mode is defective, which is what we've got. Readjust RV4 on JR1 board, still position. Readjust RV9 on JR1 board, brake width. So, okay, well, it doesn't tell you any more than that. So I'm just going to rough adjust it for now, and then I'll look at the adjustment manual to fine adjust it. So let's have a look at where RV4. I'm going to turn it upside down so it's the same direction as the panel we're looking at. So that is the furthest one on that cluster there. So let's just take this off, see what happens. So RV4. Okay, so that's now working. But, oh gosh, that seemed an awful long way out. But that is now working. Still position is wrong. Brake width, RV9. So RV9, brake width is that one there. So that is this one here. Interestingly turned almost to its fullest extent. I'm going to be a bit yeah, it's not perfect. Yeah, so when it's fully anti-clockwise, it barely, well, it's quite a delay before the brake comes on. If I turn it fully the other way, almost, I'm not going to go right, because the brake does need to, that is actually looking better. Let's just track it right. Oh, now it's running on again. Oh, what is going on? Now, motor drive doesn't seem to have any effect, which I would expect it to. Okay, that's interesting. And then FG trap, it could be the FG trap. I mean, a slight problem is once it runs, okay. So there is something going on with FG that it's not picking up FG properly. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And it's to do with tracking as well. That is interesting. It's just something seems a little bit low. So, something to do with FG and the position of the tracking. Interesting. I know I keep saying that. Right, okay, so I need to have a look at the adjustment manual now and just go through that and see what could be causing this. I mean, like I say, obviously I'm going to have to do a better alignment than just fiddling about with the pots, but it was interesting just to see the changes in, well, eliminate and try and diagnose what's going on. I do still wonder if I just do an alignment, whether that'll fix it, but anyway, let's crack on. One thing that just occurred to me, when I adjusted the motor drive on this board, I got the same fault as I got with the old board, so I'm just wondering if I adjust the motor drive on the old board, whether that'll get things up and running again, and or might point to what's actually wrong with the original board. So I'm going to put the original PCB back in, and let's see what happens. Let's crack on. Let's give this a go. So press play, and then so pause, and then so we've got no movement. It's back the other way, wasn't it? Oh. Yeah. That's doing bad things to the tape. I think I caught it in time before it did anything too bad. Yes, there's definitely a problem with it. Yeah, and then it just goes absolutely bonkers. Interesting. That is really interesting. So I'm going to try and fix the faulty board, or the original board. It does have a fault, I'm sure now. It's not just maladjustment. So the first thing I'm going to do is do what I did with the other board and just check that I've got head switching first of all. So let's power it on. Oh, gosh. And yeah, so we've got head switching, and yeah, we've still got too much motor drive. So basically it will go to still. If I do adjust the motor drive, which is for the capstan motor, it goes completely bonkers. So yeah, so I think it's time. Maybe I think I've got all the waveforms throughout the JR1 board. So I'm tempted just to check them all really and work back from there. I mean, some of you are probably going to say about these blue caps. These later Sanyo caps tend to be much better, much more reliable. It's not to say one isn't faulty, but yeah, I've tended to find them pretty good after those sort of initial bad ones that we were seeing in the C7. So yeah, let's crack on. So what I've done, just to make life easier, it says about checking pin 2 on connector 307 on the SS11 board. And there's a test point 310, which is actually a solder pad. So that is down here somewhere there. So you can see the solder pad there. So yeah, got a bit of red wire, Sony wire, connected to that. And yeah, let's see what happens. So just tell me not to trigger correctly. It's almost like this board is bad, like got a crack or something in it, because I am getting, yeah, so I know the connection is okay, because if I take it out of pause I get the signal back, but in pause I don't have anything at all, which is quite interesting. That I did get something very briefly. I do wonder if there's actually some damage on this board that I'm just not seeing. So I'm going to have a look, pull the power on it, have a look, see what I can find. Just realised I'm being a bit daft because, of course, you won't get any FG because the tape's not moving, and you wouldn't want any FG. So what we're looking at is getting an FG when I do frame advance, or I mean it's slow motion. I'm not getting anything. So whatever's generating the FG on the JR1 board isn't. So I need to investigate that. I've sort of fixed it. It was a bit weird. I mean, that's a still, and that's really good. Obviously, it's not always that good. Well, that's not bad, but you do occasionally get a noise line. So, but it's not doing a bad job. A little bit of jitter there. I did calibrate the jitter. I know I've used this tape, but this tape is pretty well recorded actually. So jitter's there. You've got like a jitter adjustment on the back to stop the horizontal shaking of the image, so you can get it perfect still. And yeah, so centered that one on the back and then adjusted that. Only needed slight adjustments, but what it turned out to be is a still position, and that has to be, or I've had to turn it right the way as far as it would go, which to my mind doesn't seem right, but it works. So yeah, so that in conjunction with the motor drive adjustments, I've got it so the motor drive cuts in and then a little bit past the cut-in point, just give a tiny bit of headroom, and then adjusted the still position right the way up, because that seemed to be the only way it was going to give me reverse without it going bonkers. And yeah, you can see the FG kicking in there. Everything else seems fine. I have just sort of checked around to make sure it all seems okay. So yeah, tracking seems good. So yeah, I will say, oh, spoke too soon. That's going like the clappers. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, let's just press stop again, press play. Now it seems happy. But it's like I jiggled this and mucky about with this, and it seems to go a bit haywire. It won't be that, that's drum shift. And now pause is working. It is just all over the place. So, okay, I'm going to break off, do some tests, checks. I do wonder if it is a bad cap, or maybe it is the part. It's just so random. It just seems really so random. So, okay, leave it with me, and I'll report back when I've found out what it is. If I do, let's crack on. Well, having hours of fun with this one. After adjusting the JR1 board to within an inch of its life, it's felt like. I'm convinced that board is alright, and yet it was still doing it, but it was intermittent, and it seemed to be worse when it was cold, but that was a red herring. I thought, I wonder if there's a problem with the S11 board. I have slightly tweaked the DC capstan bias, because it was just it was doing a little bit of a run-on for coming out of pause back to play, it would sort of go too fast and then settle. So I've got rid of that, sorted that. Yeah, so it was doing it with the panel open while I was checking everything. Closed the panel, put it back down, and it was fine. It's like, have I got a problem? Have I actually got a problem on the SS11 board? And it seems I do, because well, let's see what it's doing at the moment. So you can see the scope there. So at the moment it's still doing it, but when it works, let's give it just a gentle tap to see if that's enough to get it to work. Nope. When it's working properly, I just give the SS11 board a gentle tap in this sort of area. I don't think it particularly matters where, really, and it goes berserk, and it doesn't take much. So yeah, I'm going to have to go through, and I've spotted one or two dodgy solder joints where there's not enough solders. Things aren't actually properly soldered in. So I'll probably do those first, and then just go around with the magnifying glass and see if I can find anything else that's dodgy. But yeah, I'll do that and report back. So looking at the pictures of the SS11 board, I spotted a crack, and I can't believe I missed that. It's really quite bizarre. So yeah, let's get those repaired. I think that'll probably sort the issue out. Let's crack on. So I was a little undecided in how I was actually going to repair this. Originally I was going to put some wire, well, you can see I put some braid across the grounding strip, which is fairly irrelevant, to be honest, because all this does, this is ground, it goes right the way along, it goes through the panel and all the way back on the bottom. But I have done it because this will just add a little bit of mechanical strength because it's sandwiched. So yeah, just use some solder braid, but I did Dremel away the print, not the print, the varnish, and I was just going to put a bit of wire across there, but I much rather go point to point if I can, so that's what I've done, point to point. I mean, Sony seemed to quite enjoy doing that as well, so that's fine. And then this is actually quite difficult to find. It goes through here, round here, and then vanishes under this resistor, under another resistor, zigzags its way round, and ends up by that resistor. So yeah, I've just run a wire through and checked it for continuity. This isn't shorting with the other track, so that's fine. I was going to remove the socket just to get me some more access, but my desoldering gun has blocked, like completely blocked up again, which is a real pain. I think I'm going to have to replace it with something that's a bit more reliable, but it blocks so badly. And what it does is it'll if you leave it on long enough, it'll clear, but what it does is it halves, if you don't do anything with it, it halves the temperature, and then you're back to square one again. It's really annoying, so I will give it a go and just try and clear it again because it's so useful, but what a pain in the neck. So yeah, anyway, I got round it, it's fine. The cracks don't seem to go any further, so everything checks out okay. But I do want to just do a double check on a couple of other bits and pieces, but this should now be reliable, and we should have trick mode, and it should be good. So yeah, I'll just do a few more checks, and obviously I'll report back if there's anything amiss, but I think we'll be good to go, to be honest, and we'll give it a try. Let's crack on. Okay, so here it goes, and powering on and on, and right, super. volume off and do a capture. We'll say the audio is really good on this machine. So, pause. It's not perfect, but I wonder why it's not perfect. Oh, it is. Between two frames. Yeah, so you can argue maybe a tweak on the tracking for the, because I recorded this with this machine, so the still tracking needs to be adjusted, which is fine. It's funny how that's changed since I repaired the PCB, actually, because it was actually doing okay when it was making a contact. So there must have been, I don't know what was going on there really. It's so weird because there was quite a little crack there. So let's just adjust that back. Yeah, so I do need to adjust that. That's fine. That is slow tracking. So slow tracking right in the middle of the board. Can we do that? Just lift the panel. Slow tracking. Here's that one, so let's put it back and let's just turn it back the other way. Yeah, so it needs to go up. Now I seem to remember that was right the way up before that slow tracking. Yeah, that's much better, I think. Yeah, I mean, just cut in a little bit. Actually, that seems better. I know I'm sometimes getting noise there, but that's yeah, that's perfect. So there we go. So we got there. I mean, it's recorded now for 3 hours. It's played back for, gosh, 9 hours. And it's been absolutely faultless, apart from the trick modes, and that was just down to a crack in the board. It's been adjusted to within an inch of its life, which is great. So I'm really pleased with this machine, to be honest. It's fantastic, and with the VFD working as well, it's great. So I will put the foam on the top here, so you know, it's a final job really, but I will put that on because it just spaces the, it's if you put a heavy CRT on the top of it, it just stops any potential contact with the top of the front loading mechanism. So hope you enjoyed this one. A bit around the houses to get to the conclusion, but that really threw me, and it was literally taking the shots for the bad joints, which I have sorted incidentally. I forgot to mention that and show that, to be fair, but I have actually done those couple of suspect joints on the capstan servo side on the SS11 board. But yeah, if I hadn't taken that photo and seen that crack, I'd probably still be trying to work it out. I really hit the manuals on this as well, because it was doing my head in. I couldn't understand why it was playing up. But anyway, who'd have thunk? There's a little fine crack going through a couple of traces, and that was enough to just cause mayhem. So with that, thank you very much for watching. A like and subscribe and a hype would be absolutely wonderful, and lots more AV content to come. And bye for now.